Hello and welcome, students. How are you all? I hope you all are fine. In this class, I'm going to start with the chapter number 1. The first chapter is Let's Know the History. In our curriculum of Standard 6th, we will know about an interesting subject of social science. So today we are going to study very interesting about the social science topic. So if you're having any confusion that why did we started with this chapter number 1 is because this is the new textbook of our standard 6 of GSCB board. So now we are going to study from this book itself. So that's why I have started with the chapter number 1. The topics of the chapter are similar to which we studied in our earlier textbook. So don't worry about that. It is very easy, and if not, I'm going to make it easy for you. So let's begin with the chapter. So here we are going to study a very interesting topic about the social science. So social science gives us information about the world of men like geography, economics, social conditions and institutions, political activities and organizations. Subjects other than history introduce us with social life of present time. So basically, social science is a subject which mostly gives us information about the men of earlier time, either of geography, either of economics. Economics means related to money, and about the social conditions and institutions, political activities and organizations. So basically, it gives us information about all these things, right? So it is a very interesting subject, as well as it gives us a lot of knowledge, right? So this is all the things which we learn about in the social science subject. That is, we learn about the history, we learn about the geography, we learn about the economics, we learn about the social conditions and institutions, we learn about the political activities and organizations, right? Subjects other than history introduce us with social life of present time, while history gives us information about past of human society. So basically, history is, when do we call it history? When we get certain information or certain knowledge about the past, right? That is called as history. So basically, history gives us information about the past, with the help of which we know our present. So, like for example, in our earlier times, the people used to have stone tools, right? So what happened when at that time stone tools were made? So slowly what happened, there was modernization in that process and tools started, and then the early men found many different types of minerals, like, right, they found many different types of metals and minerals, and with the help of that they also started making tools, right? So now when we see the tools of aluminum and steel, we can understand that in earlier times the tools were not of this metals, but instead it was of stone, right? So this thing is that while we know about the history, or while we know about the past human society, we come to know that how was modernization happen and why the present situation is like this. Understood? So it is possible for us about social life of present times without having knowledge of past. So if we didn't knew that stone tools were built earlier, then we would be still wondering that the tools which we use today, who invented or how did it all happen, right? So this is the thing why we need to know the history, so that we can understand the present situations. So how was man's life when he had not started using fire. So the first thing is, when we think about the Stone Age, is that what would be our life right now if at that time there was no use of fire? Imagine how must have been life of people without agriculture, road, transportation, houses, etc. So just think about this thing, that what would have happened if there was no agriculture, if there was no tools made, if there was no fire, if there was no road, there was no transportation, there were no houses. What would have happened, and how would that life be without all these necessary things? History gives us information regarding all such aspects. So, this is why we need to know about the history and get information regarding all the aspects, right? We need to see all the things, that what would happen if fire was not there. We need to see all the aspects, what would happen if agriculture was not there, right? So this all things are very important to know, and history is also very important for our present life, right? To understand our present life. History takes us to a different world of past. It gives us information about customs and traditions, beliefs, diet, and dress of people of different generation. We feel as if we are wandering in some other world. So see, the history takes to a different world of past, right? So basically it is a different world, right? History is, when we learn about history, we think about a very different world, right? We go to a very different zone when we learn about the history. That, for example, if we think that fire was not there in earlier times, then we start wondering, and we go just into a new world and think that what would have happened. We started assuming many things, that how did they used to cook food, and many questions arose in our mind, right? So this all things, that is why it is told that history takes us to a different world of past. So it gives us information. Along with that, history also gives us information about the customs and traditions which we still follow. That customs and traditions, we also come to know about the beliefs, and we also come to know about their diet, their dresses, how they used to, what clothes they used to wear, we how did the present clothes modernize, and how they all started, how did they started the concept of farming, and how did they started the concept of dresses and all, right? So this is how we come to know, and this is why history is important, because it gives us information regarding not only about our past but also the things which we are following in present, right? So it is very important, and this history passes on generation to generation, right? So you can see that race of people of different generation, right? So there is also a very, like, after generation and generation, the dressing, the traditions also start changing, right? So this is why we need to know about history. We feel as if we are wandering in some other world, right? So as I told, that when we learn about history, we think that we are gone in a different zone. You must be thinking, why should we study about human society of past? History is not only related with matters of past but also acts as a record with current system. So it is history is not only for our knowledge, but it is also to understand and study about the present times, right? Why this thing is done in present is always related to history, right? So history is not only related to past, but it also acts, or it also mixes up with the current system. What were our ancestors? Where did they live? What did they eat? History gives us information about many such matters. It informs us about changes that have occurred in human life. So basically, the history gives us information about many things, and it also gives us information about the changes that have occurred in human life. So for example, history not only gives the answer that what our ancestors or what the early humans did, what they used to eat, what they used to wear, where they used to live, how they used to cook their food. It not only gives this information, but it also gives information that how did men started changing, or how was their life made modern, right? For example, let's take a basic example of stone tools, right? So what they used to do earlier, they used to make the tools of stone. Then slowly what happened, their life changed. They are, as they wandered from place to place, and as they were searching many things with food, so they found different metals which they use to make tools, right? So this is how the history also tells us how their life changed and how did they found different things, and why our present life is like this, right? So this was all about the history and importance of history. I can tell that it is very important to study in history, and it is very important for our knowledge to know the history. Along with that, it is also beneficial to know the present situations. So over here, I would stop the chapter. We'll continue the chapter in our next class. Thank you.